Well, good evening. As we begin tonight, we're following a disturbing police investigation that's unfolding tonight in Peoria. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Curtis.
And I'm Kadiva Devine. 2 people have been found dead inside of a home. And tonight, 12 News has learned that the suspect accused of killing them is their son.
12 News journalist Tiani Jadalang is live in the neighborhood near 83rd Avenue and Jomex. And Tiani, what are you seeing there?
Mark Caribe, it's coming out of what looks to be a very nice and quiet neighborhood. Peoria PD telling me they got the call just after 6 p.m. where a son admitted to murdering his parents in this very neighborhood. The scene is active but quiet. The victims are found in that corner brown house that you see there. Just a few minutes ago, I see what seemed to be an investigators with flashlights searching inside the home. Again, we know his son and his parents are involved. Peoria PD says there's no information as to what led up to the stabbings, but a very tragic scene overall.
The officers responded shortly after 6 p.m. to a call for service where 2 adults were found, or 2 victims were found to be deceased inside a residence. The son had called in to 911 stating he had just murdered his parents and he was going to be waiting for police. The son is believed to be around 29 years old and stated he murdered his parents.
As she mentioned, the son has been taken into custody and there is no threat to the public at this moment. Now, Peoria Police Department are telling us that they're going to stay here for a couple more hours as they try to uncover what happened earlier this evening in this neighborhood. Live in Peoria, I'm Tiani Jadalang, 12 News.
All right, Tiani, thanks. Also breaking right now, Phoenix police say a man has been shot during a possible robbery near 16th Street in Thomas. We're told the man is expected to survive. The suspects fled before police arrived. Detectives are asking anyone that maybe has doorbell footage or any information to call Silent Witness at 480-WITNESS.
A teenager has died and several others are critically injured after a serious 2-car crash. Tonight, we've learned that all of those teens go to the same school. The crash happened around noon near Happy Valley and Lake Pleasant Parkways.
12 News journalist Gabriela Becerra is in Peoria with the latest on the investigation.
Peoria police are still investigating the circumstances surrounding this crash and tell me, like any investigation, they're looking at all factors that could have played a role.
It's always sad to hear as parents. We always want to make sure our children are safe.
A serious crash in North Peoria killed 1 teen and hurt several others on Tuesday around noon. Peoria police say preliminary information indicates 5 teens in a black car were traveling southbound through the intersection on Lake Pleasant Parkway when they collided with a red car making a left turn into a parking lot. The impact sent the teen's car into a traffic pole, striking it on the passenger side. 4 of the teenagers were taken to the hospital in critical condition. 1 later died from their injuries. The adult driver in the red car was also injured. The roadway was shut down for several hours as police investigated what happened.
They do a lot of physics and mathematical reconstruction. They take measurements and they use GPS equipment to recreate the accident.
The teens go to Basis Peoria, a school about a quarter of a mile away from where the crash happened. Basis Ed tells me in a statement, "Our hearts are with the families affected," adding out of respect for their privacy, "We are not able to share additional details right now, but we will provide an update when it is appropriate to do so."
I just urge parents to instill on their kids to make sure they wear their seatbelts. Please pay attention to the roadway when they're on the road, especially when other kids are in the car.
This investigation is ongoing. Stay with 12 News for updates. In Peoria, Gabriela Becerra, 12 News.
Gabby, thanks. Let's get to our weather impact forecast. And don't be surprised if you wake up to a little rain tomorrow morning. Yeah. Meteorologist Lindsay Riley's here.
Yeah, that's right. In the valley, we're looking at about a 4 to 8 a.m. time frame. But as you can see here, northwestern Arizona now seeing some light shower activity. And this will continue to push eastward and southward during the overnight. What you're seeing around the Phoenix area right now, not actually hitting the ground yet. But across Mojave County, it's been a soggy evening. Kingman, Lake Havasu City, seeing some light rain moving into Prescott as well as Flagstaff. So showers will continue there throughout the overnight and build southward overnight. So you do see a little bit of green over the lower deserts. It's having trouble hitting the ground. But by early tomorrow morning, we could have a couple very light showers around the valley. But as you can see here, not everyone's going to see the rain, and rain totals are going to be extremely light, less than 1/10 of an inch of rain, with some folks seeing nothing. But it's really our only chance for the upcoming week. Sunrise time is at 6:16, and again, that 4 to 8 a.m. window for a passing shower. Temperatures starting off mild because we're hanging on to these clouds overnight, so it will be a cloudy start. And then as we get into the afternoon, no more threat for rain during the afternoon. We'll see increasing amounts of sunshine, but for the next 3 days, our highs are going to be in the 80s before we warm back up to the 90s this weekend. Up in Flagstaff, best chance for rain is mostly overnight, tapering off by lunchtime, and a little bit later for Show Low. Rain chances peaking around 8 a.m. and tapering off at noon. Caribe?
All right, Lindsay, thank you. New tonight, Mesa police released new video showing how a drone and a helicopter helped find a teen hiding inside of a trash can. Police say that the teen ran from officers just before midnight yesterday. The helicopter used infrared technology to watch the teen get into the trash can. Officers surrounded the area and the teen was then arrested. Mesa police say that he was arrested on weapons and drug charges.
Also developing, a woman has died after a head-on crash in Chandler. Officers responded to Riggs Road and Arizona Avenue just before 2 o'clock this afternoon. A 70-year-old woman died at the scene. Tonight, investigators are still trying to figure out what led to the crash.
College Avenue is back open in Tempe tonight after a train derailed earlier today. Tempe police tell us that part of the train somehow collided with itself. It happened just before 11 this morning near Broadway Road and College Avenue. Thankfully, no one was hurt and nothing hazardous was spilled. The area reopened just around 7 o'clock this evening.
A recent ruling by the Environmental Protection Agency has Arizona business leaders breathing a sigh of relief.
The EPA deciding not to enact stricter air quality restrictions for the state. The reason why? Well, most of the pollution that we see here isn't coming from us.
Tonight, 12 News journalist Chase Golightly explains who is responsible.
The next time you see all that haze hovering above the valley, the EPA says most of it is coming from California, Mexico, and Southeast Asia. The air quality in Maricopa County isn't the best. The American Lung Association ranks it the 4th worst for ozone pollution in the country. But according to the EPA, it's not entirely our fault. About 80% of the pollution comes from outside the valley, including natural sources like wildfires from other states. But the EPA's ruling specifically focuses on international emissions, mostly from Mexico and Southeast Asia. Without those emissions, we would fall in line with federal air quality standards. Data Abelina Aureliano, a professor of hydrology and atmospheric sciences at the University of Arizona, says other studies have shown.
We have slightly different proportion, but more or less within the range, 80-20.
All that pollution makes its way toward us, and with our desert climate, it stays.
There's dry air and very warm, hot conditions during the summer, where we have all these exceedances. Essentially, you're in a cooking pot.
Which is why the EPA decided not to reclassify Metro Phoenix from moderate to serious, which would have come with heavier restrictions for air quality. Writing the agency's decision will ensure that manufacturers and citizens in the Phoenix Mesa area are not punished for emissions out of their control. A decision Danny Seiden, the president and CEO for the Arizona Chamber of Commerce, says is helping businesses breathe a little better.
So it was a huge sigh of relief.
Saying if it went the other way,
The equivalent of putting up a sign that says Arizona is closed for business. It's very restrictive on what kind of permits you can get.
adding this doesn't mean businesses can do what they want. The same regulations they deal with now are still in place.
So my members take that very seriously, and we've cut all of our emissions down. So really, this is the opposite. This is the business community coming forward and saying, okay, now that we've shown it's not coming from Arizona, let's talk about where it is coming from and what we can all do to make it better.
In Phoenix, Chase Golightly, 12 News.
All right, Chase, thank you. Today, President Donald Trump signed an executive order that could change how many Arizonans cast their ballots each election.
The order specifically targets mail-in voting. The president's order calls on the Department of Homeland Security to create a list of U.S. citizens who are eligible to vote. The U.S. Postal Service would then be directed to deliver ballots only to those voters. The president has long claimed, without evidence, that mail-in ballots result in widespread fraud. Ironically, the president himself recently voted by mail in a Florida election.
In response to the executive order, Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays said, quote, President Trump can sign all the executive orders that he wants. It won't change the United States Constitution. States run their elections, not the president of the United States, not Department of Homeland Security.
Tonight, thousands of additional troops are headed to the Middle East as the war in Iran continues. The USS George H.W. Bush deployed today alongside 3 destroyers. The group consists of 6,000 sailors. Now, this comes as the president said today that he estimates the war will be over in 2 to 3 weeks. He'll address the nation tomorrow night in prime time to provide an update on the war. You can watch that address at 6 o'clock right here on 12 News.